Hey, I'm Heyzeus, and in this video, we're going to be having a look at the guy who's currently facing up to 8 years in jail for scamming a knife. Sponsored by Skinport, the easy-to-use skins marketplace where you can sell your skins for real cash. More about them later. So I do have to apologise for being a little bit late getting to this video. It really should have been made about a week ago, but it's been a busy week and I've only finally gotten around to it. But I think it is a very interesting story and I wanted to have a bit of a look at it. Now, a bit of backstory here. Many years ago, there was a report about a Chinese CSGO trader who was sent to jail after he exit scammed another trader for $100,000 or so. The exact details have always been a little bit hazy, but as far as I know, the guy was at the very least arrested. Now, you might be thinking this is a sign that the police in the great and glorious nation of China actually take things more seriously than the technically inept buffoons in charge of fighting crime in the rest of the world. But it's really more a sign that the guy who got scammed for $100K actually has Chinese Communist Party connections and probably passed the local police chief $5,000 underneath the table to fix the problem. At which point the police chief probably turned to the guy and said, "Consider him already disappeared." Or so goes the story anyway. Information in China isn't exactly what you call free, and I've always wondered about the authenticity of this entire tale. The sources behind it aren't what I'd call ironclad. But recently, a similar story broke on the internet, and this time, the sources behind it were about as solid as you could possibly get. So, you probably know about a country called the Czech Republic, and this country has a number of good things about it. One of them is Prague, which I've never had a chance to visit, but everyone who goes there tells me how amazing it is. And another is this little blurb that recently appeared on the website of the Czech Republic's police force. Now, I'll try and paraphrase this because the translation isn't very good. Basically, it says that someone committed fraud over a virtual item in a computer game worth 30,000 crowns, which is about 1.4k US by the way. Apparently a guy in part of the Czech Republic called Pilsen entered into an agreement to sell his skin to another guy. The buyer paid a deposit, but then started ghosting the seller on Steam after the knife was delivered to him and he had to pay the rest of the amount. So the seller contacted the police, who contacted the scammer with a set of handcuffs. And we even get a picture of the knife too. It's a Talon knife fade. Oh, that's a sick knife. What a naughty boy trying to steal something like that. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't find the Steam profile of the scammer, which is a bit of a pity. I really wanted to make fun of it, but you know what? That's okay, because we're gonna make fun of something else instead. You see, something I just told you about this case was a lie, or at least a complete misrepresentation, and it's been happening all over the internet, and I wanted to bring this up. So, there's been a ton of media articles about this scam. In fact, it even made the local Czech news. Seriously, check out this news report about it.
Podobný případ policie na Plzeňsku nepamatuje. V celém Česku ale není ojedinělý. Fanoušci počítačových her totiž kupují virtuální prvky i za mnohem vyšší částky.
Klasický nůž, který se dá sehnat třeba za 2000 korun. Naopak tyhle virtuální nože a další předměty jsou nedílnou součástí počítačových her, ale platí se za ně stejně.
Is it just me, or does the sign language lady look fucking disgusted by this entire thing? Anyway, the point is, it got the attention of Czech media outlets. And sure, the news report literally did show the victim of the scam playing Call of Duty for some reason, but either way, the impact was pretty immediate, and a whole bunch of other news outlets quickly started covering the story themselves. And I'm gonna read you a few extracts from these media articles, and let's see if you start to get a certain impression about what's really going on here. Like this one. Thief facing 8 years in jail for stealing a digital knife in Counter-Strike Global Offensive. A Counter-Strike gamer has allegedly stolen a knife worth $1,400 in the Czech Republic. He's facing an exceptionally harsh sentence as the country is currently in a state of emergency due to the spread of COVID-19. Or how about this one? Thief facing 8 years in jail for stealing CSGO knife. The local police acted with zero room for error after the scammer was sentenced to jail. Or maybe even this one. CSGO scammer may face up to 8 years in prison for virtual theft. A Counter-Strike Global Offensive player is reportedly serving 8 years in jail for stealing a CSGO knife worth $1,400. Wait, hold on. Don't those two sentences contradict each other? Wait, don't worry. Wait. A failure to commit saw him sentenced to jail. So, he is in jail, right? One way or another. Look, what I'm trying to show you here is that you might get the impression from a lot of the news articles published on this story that the guy has been arrested and may already be serving a prison term. But that's not actually what the police report says. In fact, all it says is that there's been an investigation launched. There's nothing about an arrest or anyone going to jail, much less 8 years jail like some of these news articles have implied. So what's actually happened here? Well, a few things have. First of all, let's try and clear up why news articles are saying stuff that isn't actually in the police report. The source of most of the English news on this topic is this short article published on CT24, a major Czech news station, and is a pretty short and vague article, not to mention the fact that Google Translate does a pretty bad job of it. But if you were, I don't know, an unpaid intern at some small internet news outlet who's working 16 hours a day and is super sleep deprived as they desperately try and write articles that get enough clicks for the business to stay afloat, and you didn't read this Czech article properly in your rush to make an article, well, you may actually misunderstand it and come to the conclusion that the scammer has been arrested, even though it doesn't actually say that. And I suspect a lot of these other news outlets copied the story off each other without really taking time to check to make sure they're getting the details right, or even to check their own article actually makes sense in some circumstances. Now, this also brings us to the whole 8 years thing you've been hearing about too, because again, that's not something in the police report. There's nothing about sentencing in here. It's from the Czech news article instead. Now, the reason they say this is that virtual theft carries a maximum sentence of 8 years in the Czech Republic, but that is not the same as saying you're going to get an 8 years jail sentence, and I'll let Jake Lucky from Esports Talk explain it a bit better.
I'm sure a lot of you guys watching know an 8-year prison or jail time sentence can obviously be reduced as well, and it might be, a year, maybe 2 years.
Thank you, Jake. Now, unfortunately, a lot of media articles on this topic didn't do a great job of clarifying this. Even if this guy does get caught, it's not likely he'll get anything close to 8 years. I mean, look, it costs the Czech government money to keep the guy in prison. Are they really gonna pay to keep him in jail for 8 years over a fucking CSGO knife? I don't think so. Anyway, that brings us back to the main point. What is really going on here? We're going to take a bit of a closer look and read between the lines on this story. So we know from the police report that the scammer offered to pay the equivalent of $1,400 for the Talon Fade. Now, this tells us a lot on its own. You see, this knife is actually only worth $750 cash, not $1,400. So why would someone offer almost twice its real value? Well, as the saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. And if someone is offering you twice as much as what your item's worth, it's not going to be legit. In fact, it's a pretty common trick used by scammers to lure people, like this guy, into giving up their skins. And another thing that stands out to me is that the scammer paid an upfront deposit. And again, this is a very common trick used by cash scammers in CSGO to get people to trust them. And when you put these things together, I don't think this scam is exactly what you call amateur hour. I think the person who scammed this guy knows what they're doing when it comes to scamming CSGO skins. And if they know the tricks to being a cash scammer, they're probably familiar with other basic things you should know if you're trying to scam people, like don't leak your real identity and don't scam someone in your home country where it's possible you could get arrested. In fact, despite all the media coverage, it actually looks like a super run-of-the-mill scam to me, and I'm definitely impressed that the Czech police are taking it seriously. I think that's a great thing, but at the same time, I don't think they stand a chance in hell at finding the guy behind it, much less bringing him to justice. It is good that this cautionary tale is getting some serious, if maybe kind of sloppy, media attention, and it may even genuinely help other people avoid getting scammed in the future. But unless VAR steps in and starts getting real-world IDs and addresses for everyone who makes a Steam account and taking other steps to make it possible to track down scammers, which would raise all kinds of alarming privacy concerns and is probably actually worse than having scammers on the platform, police, even if they're really well-meaning and actually take this internet shit seriously, aren't going to be able to do much about this stuff. At the end of the day, when it comes to arresting CSGO scammers, China really is still number one. Isn't that right, Chairman G?
女士们、先生们，大家好。
Anyway, that's pretty much it for this video. If you've enjoyed it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Massively appreciated. And also, massively appreciated is Skinport for sponsoring this channel. Skinport is a marketplace that allows you to sell your skins for real cash. Now, the great thing about this website is that you can buy skins here for much less than you have to pay on the Steam market. Just log in through Steam and you can buy items right away on your credit card without any need to deposit first. So if you're looking to get skins and get them cheap, this is the place to buy. If you're looking to sell instead, it's got a super competitive sales fee of just 5% if you put skinport.com in your username. That's less than half of what you pay on Steam. So this is a great marketplace. I've used it for years now. I love it. And you can find a link to it in the pinned comment. Anyway, that's it from me. As always, trust the numbers, not your gut. I'm Heyzeus. Thanks for watching. See ya.